Madam Speaker, there are two things that I didn't hear very well from the colleagues. One of them is the parenting. If we are going to continue in this country to have only fathers and mothers who are not parents, we are going to keep with the problem. Madam Speaker, we visited the remand homes in this country. In Kampiringisa, 194 remandees, only 4 were girls. In Fort Portal, we met 75 remandees and only Speaker. In Masindi, 55 remandees, no girl. And these are the boys who are expected to bring things to our families to marry our children. Madam Speaker, if we don't take care of these boys and we think because they don't get pregnant, therefore they cannot be spoiled, we are not going to have responsible men leading homes. And therefore this government must invest now very seriously if we have to emancipate women in the boys.
Which I thought became a report from the youth, the Member of Parliament representing youth, Honorable Court. Madam Speaker, the young people in Uganda require a strategy that is not business as usual. First of all, Madam Speaker, the population of this country now has 54% under 18. Those are dependents. When you add older persons and you add PWDs, then the dependence rate almost goes to 70%. Madam Speaker, these young people need to be planned for from their childhood. Madam Speaker, if we are still getting young people dropping out of school, His Excellency recently was lamenting that how can we have 100 pupils in a school and then only 32% are completing. For us, we lamented a long time ago, and now His Excellency is realizing that the completion rate is very low. And Madam Speaker, as a Ministry of Gender, we have continued to encourage these young people who don't complete school to be externalized as labor. Madam Speaker, are we going to externalize beggars? Are we going to externalize mediocres who cannot cope with the languages, who cannot cope with the culture, who cannot cope with the appliances in a modern household? And Madam Speaker, as if that is not enough, recently here we got a
managing director is to avoid conflict of interest for the managing director on the board, which recommends him or her for appointment, appraises him, and to which he or she accounts as the chief executive officer of the fund. 3, further, the board should be independent from any possibility of influence of the managing director in decision making. 4, to deter any board member from engaging in activities that could be in conflict with the objectives of the fund.
I had allowed Honorable Flavia Bravoro.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank you for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I realize that for the 36 years we have been in government, we knew that Karamoja was a very vulnerable region. We all know that every time it rains, Teso will flood. We all know that at every 4 years, Nyamwamba will break its banks. We all know that whenever we have hard rains, Bududa will slide. What is in the planning? What is our disaster risk management plan for this country, Right Honorable Speaker? Wouldn't it be procedurally right that the Minister of Finance does not come here to tell us about relief and aid? We are not the relief managers. We need a plan. We need a disaster risk management plan. Wouldn't it be procedurally right for us to have that plan here, Right Honorable Speaker?
Vision that will lead me to amending the recommendations. And this is about the traffic enforcement and discretion on options for handling the mentally ill persons. The mentally ill persons on the streets and roads, Madam Speaker, are a traffic challenge. In Kajansi just 2 days ago, one mad woman started smashing people's cars, but the traffic continued to wave their hands for traffic to go. And this mad woman was on rampage all over the place.
and they don't seem to want to even address that kind of matter, and we have found them a lot. So, Madam Speaker, these mad people, whether they are mentally ill or they are drug addicts, vandalize cars, they fight road users, they disrupt, and they stampede traffic. Madam Speaker, can the police, especially the traffic police, understand that the mentally ill persons on the roads are a road challenge or a traffic challenge? And then they take options like hospitalizing them or arresting them. Those who may not be very aggressive can be informally handled, but something needs to come to the recommendations on how to manage the mentally ill people on the road. Madam Speaker, we equally need more of the psychiatric services at the health
I'm not
facilities.
sure whether that's a mandate of the traffic police, but the Prime Minister is going to come and address it in her responses. It is in one of the questions. We are now looking at the amendment on what was resolved.
Why, Madam Speaker, wouldn't they coordinate with the respective entities for this? Because it ends up with them, because when it becomes a traffic challenge, it just requires some address from them. And accidents, they have caused accidents. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Third, on the third, it is on third.
Third, yes.
Gender,
To come
thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, we shall be there.
I want to add my voice onto all the honorable members and the country that celebrated with you the coming and the safe landing of our twins. Congratulations, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to stand and even congratulate the people with disabilities upon the commemoration coming, and to also thank the government of Uganda for ensuring that we celebrate this every year. I thank the Honorable Minister who has delivered a very strong statement on the celebrations for older persons on 3rd December. The people with disabilities. Madam Speaker, I want to start by thanking Pastor Francis of Gaba Community Church, who has assisted this country. He's in a wheelchair himself, but he has decided to make a ministry of distributing wheelchairs throughout this country, Madam Speaker. I think on this day, we need to celebrate him, and if there was a medal, Madam Speaker, he would take that medal. He has just come from my district to distribute 220 wheelchairs, Madam Speaker. He distributes even more than that. Madam Speaker, we need to celebrate him. So secondly, Madam Speaker, assistive devices have become a challenge to the people with disabilities. Some have even resorted to the Katwe devices. I don't want to really undermine the Katwe devices, but some of them are really substandard. And they have just had to go for them because that's what they can afford. We would want this country to commit itself to the people with disabilities, because the theme is we are supposed to fulfill the promises of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. They are very specific. Let's be true to the people with disabilities. Madam Speaker, controlling and containing disability has been a message from His Excellency. But with these border accidents every day, with people who have now gone back to not coming for immunization against polio. In my district, when they were distributing wheelchairs, 2/3 of the disabled people were children. And we are wondering whether people still are taking their children for polio immunization and other immunizations. We need to control the numbers of disabled people in this country. Madam Speaker, this Parliament, when we were processing the budget for this very year running, we put a tax on Pampers. Madam Speaker, I have got to learn that people who live with hydrocephalus and spina bifida live on Pampers. Those who are not pampered, they are catheterized from birth to death. They are on Pampers from birth to death. Even older persons are using these Pampers. And so, Madam Speaker, I would like to really call on your indulgence that possibly we have a discussion very soon to rescind the tax on these Pampers, Madam Speaker. And the legal aid bill, Madam Speaker, was returned, but I pray that we expedite it so that these people with disabilities can get redress responsive justice, not only access to justice, but responsive justice that will assist them to sort the court issues. Madam Speaker, I don't want to challenge your ruling on a statement on the land at Lueza. But Madam Speaker, even Naguru land for children is under grab. Even Ginger land for older persons is under grab. Basically, most of the land belonging to Ministry of Gender is being grabbed, Madam Speaker. By the very people
It is
who
being
should
grabbed
protect,
by who?
by those who should protect us. Madam Speaker,
Who are those ones?
I request that the
Who are
statement
those
is
ones?
comprehensive.
Chair.
Can we get a select committee, Madam Speaker? And we shall give all.
First need a statement.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
On the land which is being grabbed.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I am aware even the land.
Even Kazi land is going.
For scouts is being grabbed.
Yes, right.
So can we have a statement on that? So that we know who is that grabber?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. We need that statement, Madam Speaker. I want to
So
thank you and to congratulate all people with disabilities upon the commemoration of their day.
Thank you. Next item. Thank you.
Yes. Honorable Flavia Rabhoro.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I welcome the children from Mitoma who are here. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance that concerns the people of Kyegegwa in Kyaka South. And these people are living on and around Kyaka 1 refugee land. They have been here, they have been on that land for a long, long time, Right Honorable Speaker, because government transferred the refugees in 1994 from Kyaka 1 land to Kyaka 2. And so the whole land has been occupied. But these people living on that land, Right Honorable Speaker, have been getting threats since 2007 of irregular evictions, which evictions have even caused them deaths at one time. Right Honorable Speaker, as we talk now, it is not only the people coming from Kyegegwa occupying that land, but government in 2016 brought the people of Uganda who had left Tanzania and had been camped in Sango Bay. They brought them to Kyaka 1 land, 8,000 of them. And so as we talk now, the same people have started receiving documents, both from the Honorable Minister Hilary Onek and some government entities, to threaten eviction. We have given them PDM money. They cannot invest it because they are living in anxiety, Right Honorable Speaker. We, as members of Parliament coming from Kyegegwa, have tried to reach out to the Honorable Hilary Onek for a solution-based discussion to no avail. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to request and implore you to cause a meeting between us, the members of Parliament of Kyegegwa, and the Honorable Hilary Onek, who is the line minister, for us to have a discussion that has solutions on what we should tell these people, because some of them have even started selling their land at a very small price to go and just languish wherever they can, thinking that anytime they will be evicted and evicted harshly. Right Honorable Speaker, we are living in anxiety and we don't want that to cause insecurity at this time. I thank you.
Government Chief Whip, I request that I assign you this. You arrange a meeting between the Minister for Disaster Preparedness and the members of Parliament from these affected areas. And I think beyond members of Parliament, you could call LC5 chairpersons, okay, to attend the meeting and maybe this and RDC, so that you have buy-in of the community. They understand really what's going on. Thank you. The Government Chief Whip is going to coordinate this. Thank you. Honorable Flavia Rabhoro, and then Rob.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, A1 Ruhuma Uganda since 2008 has harassed the communities and the occupants of Kivira Ward, which is in Kakabara Town Council in Kyegegwa District, claiming that he has a land title and he wants to evict 5 villages with more than 1,000 occupants with the title he claims and he has never shown to any of us. Right Honorable Speaker,
I would like to ask the Right Honorable Prime Minister whether she wouldn't instruct that the Minister of Lands comes to the locus to understand about this title that he claims belonged to his grandmother, the title of 1928, Block 39, Plot 2, Kivira's land, so that we...
Question?
My question is whether the Prime Minister wouldn't instruct the Minister of Lands to come to the locus and establish the facts on these matters, so that my people are safe and they can continue with their development programs.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, the district of Kyegegwa is lucky. They have the Attorney General. And I believe the Attorney General is a custodian of law. I want to direct that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, gets that problem quickly, and the Minister of Lands is also directed to go on site to see how to help our people. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, we have the bona fide law where nobody in Uganda can be threatened of eviction. And the RDCs are always on alert to make sure that our people are not threatened with any evictions. Yes. And by the way, because of that alertness, the number has gone down. And I want to request my sister, my sister and the Deputy Attorney General to help our communities. If that man is a genuine owner of that title, let it be brought to the ministry for compensation. We compensate that man, and our people get titles on their land and ownership.
Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for causing this debate. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to speak to the Education Act 2008, which specifies that this government is going to provide education to pre-primary, primary, and post-primary. But they have left the early childhood development or early childhood education to private sector. And Right Honorable Speaker, the early childhood education, if there were any researched information to be brought here, actually you would rather take the child to a secondary school than take them to a nursery school, because nurseries for them, they extort left, right, and center. And they do not even consider the age, they do not consider the curriculum, they never consider what the parents are earning, and they simply ask for money every time. Please. They have even started putting money-making ventures like graduations, like parent meetings for nursery, like exams. And so every bit of getting money is what they introduce every day. Right Honorable Speaker, when I was in the 9th Parliament, actually in the year 2012, the ECD policy was being developed by government. Only that it caused a commotion between whether it should belong to education or belong to gender, and up to now we have not seen that ECD policy. When are we receiving the ECD policy? Can we be told the status of the early childhood education policy and the early childhood development policy, Right Honorable Speaker?
Thank you. Honorable Ndezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise on Rule 49(1) to speak to a matter of national importance, and I raise a matter on SAGE, the Social Assistance Grants for Empowerment, which others call the Senior Citizens Grants for older persons, who have arrears now of 8 months, and the government does not seem to care about it. Madam Speaker, during the 4th quarter of the financial year 2020-2021, 270,203 older persons were not paid due to the shortage of funds, and the shortage came from the government side. The development partners.
Honorable members, it is free sitting. If you don't have where to sit, kindly cross this side.
Madam Speaker, the shortage came from the government side. The development partners did their part. And as a result, 36.2 billion areas were accumulated. At the passing of this current budget that is running, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development gave assurance to this Honorable House that they would come up with a supplementary budget to cater for these areas of last financial year, which has not even come to pass. Madam Speaker, the older persons commit this money to their health, to the welfare of the orphaned and vulnerable children that they live with, to their nutrition and food. And so, spending 8 months without getting this money, Madam Speaker, has made their children not even go to school, report to school, for lack of scholastic materials and for lack of other welfare materials. Madam Speaker, the older person's health, expensive as you all know that it is, have failed now to take care of their health. And Madam Speaker, the culture of areas and inconsistent and inadequate releases continue to hamper the implementation of SAGE. And it spells a bigger risk in case the development partners withdraw in June this year. Madam Speaker, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development proposed in the budget framework paper that they wanted to push this 36.2 billion to next financial year as domestic areas. Madam Speaker, as we talk, the budget called circular has even dropped that. Are we mocking the older persons? Is it a mockery? Are we true to the older persons, Madam Speaker? I will take the information, Madam Speaker, before my prayers.
Thank you very much for giving way. The information I want to give is that it's ironical that a government led by old people can fail to take care of old people. The president is an older person. The prime ministers consist of older people and all these segments of society. So the information I want to give is that a government of older people is failing to take care of older people. Actually taking care of their own.
Thank you very much, Honorable Basalirwa, for that information. Madam Speaker, these older persons are not claiming a favor, they are claiming a right. And this particular government, right from their constitution, NDP, NRM manifesto, and all the international obligations have signed into taking care of the welfare of not only the vulnerable persons, but the older persons. Madam Speaker, my prayer is to task Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development and also Ministry of Finance to bring the supplementary budget before the close of this financial year, because the older persons have already waited for 8 months. You can't tell them to wait any longer. Budget called circular has not indicated. Madam Speaker, I would like to plead with this honorable parliament not to consider any more supplementary budget this financial year if it doesn't carry the 36.2 billion for SAGE. I pray, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, much as we talk about.
Thank you.
Kyegegwa.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Gulf Council, together with the Ministry of Health, accredits hospitals in this country that do pre-boarding health checks for the domestic workers going abroad, especially to the Middle East. And even when the employers have paid money for these health checks, when they arrive their destinations of work, there is a pre-arrival check for them to confirm whether the checks this way were thorough. Right Honourable Speaker, I wonder why the Ministry of Health takes a very passive role on checking these people when they return from those countries to ensure a disease surveillance so that they don't come with another outbreak. We don't know even how COVID came. Maybe it came with those Saudis who were coming back. Maybe it came with those workers who were returning to the country, and we never care to find out whether they are as intact as they went. And so I would like to recommend, Right Honourable Speaker, that it becomes a requisite that every domestic worker coming back and maybe other workers coming from abroad take a pre-arrival check for us to make sure that they don't come here and introduce or reintroduce epidemics and pandemics. I thank you.
Judith Achani Byanyima.